Today, we witnessed one of the most disturbing images of Donald Trump's authoritarian regime I have seen so far, with the egregious and unlawful detainment of Senator Alex Padilla for simply standing up and speaking on behalf of his constituents. But it wasn't just enough for Donald Trump to violently assault this man with his masked goons. He also had to smear his name, not just with the MAGA media, but enlisting his mouthpiece in Karoline Leavitt to do so. The statement that she made was so gross that it is now blowing up in her face after what was caught on camera is backfiring on her, not just because of what we can clearly see, but what Cory Booker said in an interview between himself and me that we are going to check out in just a little bit. But before we get into it all, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting the work that we are doing on this show. Now, before we get into Leavitt's statement, of course, Senator Booker's response as well, I want to start with Senator Alex Padilla, who just said this on MSNBC.
You heard anything from a single Republican member of the U.S. Senate or the House about what happened to you?
Haven't spoken to my Republican colleagues yet. I will say there's two that at least sent a text message saying that they denounced what happened, checking to see if I'm okay. Senator Sheehy from Montana, Senator Curtis from Utah. But the point is this: if my colleagues are now at Leader Thune's office, and this is a question I've been asking all my Republican colleagues since the beginning of Trump's term: when is enough enough? The audacity for how this administration has gone after their political agenda. You know, when I hear behind closed doors, well, once he gets, crosses a certain line, then we're going to start to rein him in. But they keep saying yes to every ask he makes, every nominee he puts forward. When is enough enough? When they feel no repercussions for putting a United States senator in handcuffs for the audacity to ask a question and to speak up for fundamental rights and due process. When is enough enough?
The fact that we have not seen bipartisan condemnation of this act just goes to show, if you needed any more evidence, which you shouldn't at this point, how lost and quite frankly gone the Republican Party is. This is not a political party. This is an authoritarian movement with a king, with a dictator, with a cult leader. He will not be our king. We are going to let him know that on his birthday, by the way. But that is what this is. To not have simple human decency to express how disappointed you were to see your colleague attacked by Donald Trump's thugs is just gross. And before we get into Karoline Leavitt, someone who I think put that into such perfect language was Pete Buttigieg. You're going to want to check this out before we see what Leavitt said in Senator Cory Booker's response.
Hey, it's Pete. Like so many people around the country, I just saw something that made my stomach turn. Something I didn't think that I would see, even under this administration. A United States senator pushed to the ground and handcuffed after asking questions of a federal government official.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go ahead, put behind my back.
All right, cool.
What are we supposed to do about that? Well, first of all, we name what just happened, which is that the Trump government has crossed one of the reddest of red lines that can exist in a free society. Any salute to the flag or talk of patriotism or American greatness is completely hollow if you do not respect the freedoms that that flag represents, the Constitution that directs the course of this country. And they've shown what they think of those freedoms and that Constitution. Now what? Well, much will depend on the courage of members of the Senate and the House, especially Republicans. This kind of thing is designed to make them more afraid. Our job as American citizens is to make sure that they realize they have more politically to lose by riding the tiger of this out-of-control administration, which will sooner or later eat them too, than going along with it. That's going to take all of us raising our voices like never before, so that something like this can never happen again.
Pete Buttigieg always knows what to say and is always able to articulate exactly how I am feeling, and I am sure you are feeling in this moment as well. But someone who is not, to no surprise to us, is Karoline Leavitt. who made a disgusting statement on Twitter reacting to this as the White House was trying to cover up this attack on Senator Padilla. It is, of course, blowing up in her face. We're going to take a look at what she posted, and then we're going to see why. Karoline Leavitt posted, Democrat Senator Alex Padilla should be ashamed of his childish behavior today. He crashed the middle of an official press conference being held by a cabinet secretary, recklessly lunged towards the podium where Secretary Noem was speaking, and then refused to leave the room and follow the directions of law enforcement officials. Now, we have seen this clip many times today, and I am disturbed to watch it again. But we know that, one, the senator did not lunge at Kristi Noem. Two, was not given any instructions by law enforcement. Instead, insisted upon his name being recognized and his actions being taken into account into advocating on behalf of his constituents as he was ripped by his shirt collar out of the room and then thrown on the ground. What Karoline Leavitt is saying is completely not true, and what was caught on camera totally proves that out. She is a liar, and it is not just me who thinks so. Cory Booker does as well. He called her out, as well as Jesse Waters, in the short interview we had. I hope you like it. Let's take a look. Karoline Leavitt characterized what happened today, the assault on Senator Alex Padilla, as him behaving childishly and crashing Kristi Noem's press conference. I find that ridiculous, but what is your response to Donald Trump's press secretary?
I mean, look, anybody who could look at that, just the facts, it was a federal building. He is a United States senator that was invited into that building. And he saw a press conference, stepped in and called a question. Even if you want to call him disrespectful or performative, that does not justify him being violently grabbed, dragged from that room, forced to his knees, and then slammed upon his face with his arms wrenched behind his back and arrested. That does not equate in any way as a justification to have a United States senator violently attacked. And as he said, if they're doing this to me when I'm exercising my rights, what are they doing to threaten, intimidate other Americans not to protest? Because this president equates disagreement with him, that kind of dissent he equates with being unpatriotic. He equates it being un-American if you disagree with a president who clearly there should be a lot of disagreement with. And so this is today a breach of our Constitution. It is an abuse of power. It is another example after they arrested the mayor of my city, Newark, New Jersey, unjustly and were rebuked by a judge. After they arrested my congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, arrested a judge, had to get rebuked by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for them and their threats towards judges who had decisions that were against the Trump administration. This is a president that continues to try to bully, intimidate, and abuse his own power to get people to heel or kneel before him. It's wrong.
Yeah. And Senator, I think it is no coincidence that it was just a day ago Donald Trump said that anyone protesting his birthday, peacefully or not, and the protests have been peaceful, will be met with extreme force. He will be going after them. Clear intimidation. What would you say to someone who is prepared to go out and protest Donald Trump, whether it be in Washington, D.C., or anywhere across the country where we are seeing no King's Day protests? Be prepared. What would you say to anyone with concerns about what might happen to them, given what happened to Senator Padilla today?
Well, I believe that they're trying to intimidate you.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to scare you from going out and protesting him. Do not let them do it.
Yep.
And we all stand on the shoulders of those people who marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, who did freedom rides. I can go through the examples of people facing violence from government who stood up, labor organizers, LGBTQ activists. I believe these protests all around the country are going to be peaceful, but they are trying to stop you from participating in them. He's going to have his wonderful parade that is more fit for authoritarian leaders than an American president. And he doesn't want anything to overshadow that. But I want millions of Americans to show him that he is not a king. He's not a dictator. We're not an authoritarian government. This is a democracy where the power of the people is greater than the people in power. And this weekend, we got to exercise our power by using our constitutional rights to demonstrate.
I completely agree. I opened by asking you about Karoline Leavitt. I apologize that I'm now asking you about Jesse Waters, but we saw him say that real men, Jesse Waters likes to talk a lot about real men without necessarily being one himself, but said, don't let their emotions take over, referring to the senator who was brave in standing up to Kristi Noem. We're already seeing the spin come from your Republican colleagues, the propagandists at Fox, and the rest of the MAGA media. What would you say to someone trying to spin what happened today as some overreaction by Democrats to the real threats posed by Trump?
History is littered with examples of demagoguery and hate, of trying to intimidate, belittle, marginalize, demonize those people who have the courage to stand up for others. Alex Padilla is one of those people. He is the son of a short order cook, Mexican immigrant, and another Mexican immigrant, his mother, who cleaned people's houses. People were belittling and ignoring and looking down on his parents, but they did everything necessary to get their child off to MIT, and got to watch him be an LA City Councilman, the Secretary of State for California, and now the senior senator from California. What an extraordinary example of manhood, of a man who came from so little, who is now truly a great man. And you can't assault his dignity. You can't belittle him. He is a giant in the United States Senate, respected on both sides of the aisle. You tell the truth about yourself when you criticize him in such an outrageous way. We've got to stop allowing people to try to make our culture one of meanness and cruelty and degrading behavior. It's about time we start lifting people up, not tearing people down. This weekend, we need people out in the streets lifting up our democracy, each other, the rights of the people, especially the rights of a people against a president who wants to abuse people, abuse the Constitution, and clearly, in this case with Alex Padilla, abuse his power.
I cannot agree more. Thank you so much for using your voice, inspiring us, much like Senator Padilla did today. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator Booker.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very, very much.
I am so glad that Senator Booker was invoking the history of peaceful protest when talking about what our response to Donald Trump on his birthday needs to be. This will be a moment for the history books, not just because a wannabe dictator brought in tanks, helicopters, is making our soldiers goose step for him. That is not why it'll be historic. It'll be historic because of us, because of our response, because of how we show the world that we have no king still in America, although our president wants the perception to be different. I am counting on y'all to be out there. I am excited to see photos, videos, whatever it may be. Please tag me in them. Please send them to the show, whether it be on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. I am excited to see y'all out there. We need to fight, and I'm going to be covering it all. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.